country in the world. All right, give it up for Bob Gibbs. I've known Bob Gibbs for at least 20 years. All over his years in the Ohio Farm Bureau, and clearly when he was president, we worked closely together because I spent 16 years on the House Agriculture Committee and worked closely with Bob. I think he would make a great representative from the 18th District of Ohio. And I can tell you that he won't be voting for a stimulus bill or a cap and trade bill or a health care bill. Oh, wait a minute, he voted no before he voted yes. Was that what it was? Listen, it's time to have real people in Washington who will listen to you and represent you, and that's Bob Gibbs. I can tell you that right now. And you want to send Nancy Pelosi and all the liberals home, vote for Bob Gibbs. You know, ladies and gentlemen, your government in Washington isn't listening to you. It's pretty clear. When they begin to move all these bills, the American people are screaming at the top of their lungs, stop, and yet they continue to move bills down the road one after another after another. I mean, look at the health care bill. I mean, we have a national discussion, a national debate, and for that matter, we even had a national vote. The American people said no way, and yet they saw their Congress shove it down their throat. And you wonder why people in America are upset. Why people in America want change. Let me tell you, I understand, because I've been all over my district, I've been all over the state, and I've been all over this country. And the outrage that I see is like nothing I've ever seen before. It's there, and it's real. You know, the other day the president was giving an interview, and he described people who disagreed with him as his enemies. Yeah, he really did. He described these people who disagree with him as his enemies. Now, you know, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, you know, that word enemy was reserved for, you know, global terrorists, dictators around the world who hate freedom and hate America. And yet, here's the president using that word to describe Americans who disagree with his big government, who believe in the Constitution, who believe in freedom, and believe that America can be great again. Well, I've got to tell you, Mr. President, I've got a word that describes those people who believe in our Constitution, who believe in freedom, who believe in the basic rights Americans have had that have made this country a great country. And the word isn't enemy, Mr. President. The word is patriots. Yeah! Back in February or March, we were all down at the White House, or at the Blair House, for the 7-hour Obama infomercial with regard to health care. Yeah. And you remember, Republicans were supposed to be the potted plants there. Yeah. You know, we actually showed up with our ideas about how to bring down the cost of health insurance, and he really didn't want to hear it. But during that discussion, the president said this. He said, you know, when there are ideological differences or philosophical differences, he said, and I'll quote, that's what elections are for. Well, Mr. President, you're right. That's what elections are for. And on Tuesday, the American people, I think, are going to send a very loud message to Washington. A very loud message. And that loud message is sending people like Rob Portman to the United States Senate. Rob Portman and I have been friends for 20 years. We've worked side by side in the Congress. We worked side by side when he was in the administration. He's a guy who's created jobs, who understands the private sector, and somebody that we can trust, that will listen to us and represent our values, and most importantly, our voices in the United States Senate. Rob, keep up the great job. And I can talk to you about John Kasich and John Husted, David Yost. I can talk to you about all of our statewide team. They're good folks who I believe will do a great job, again, listening to the people in Ohio and representing your values and your interest. Now listen, you all remember when Ronald Reagan was president? We had Bob Hope, we had Johnny Cash. Think about where we are today. We have President Obama. But we have no hope, and we have no cash. I come from a big family. I've got 11 brothers and sisters, and the president and some others on the left try to paint me as though I'm out of touch with what's going on in the real world. Listen, I've got 2 of my brothers who are unemployed. I've got 2 of my brother-in-laws that are unemployed. Don't tell me I don't understand what's going on out in the streets of America and how desperate the situation is. Hope is coming, though. I can tell you that right now. Hope is coming. If we want to get jobs going in America again, we've got to cut spending, and we've got to extend all of the current tax rates for all Americans. I can tell you a lot more jokes, but a lot of cameras here that would just love to catch me telling you some of these jokes. They'll cut them up and it won't look so good. Just understand this. If we're lucky enough to be in the majority in the U.S. House, and I'm lucky enough to be the next Speaker of the House, I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be different. And not just different than it is today under Democrat control, but differently than Republicans last had the chance to govern in Washington, D.C. It's time for us to get serious about cutting spending. It's about time that Americans come together and have an adult conversation with each other about the serious challenges that our country faces. We have serious challenges. We can have an honest conversation. But I've watched leaders for 20 years look at the big problems. It was like looking up at the top of a mountain, seeing how tall it was, seeing how steep it was, and they decided to just kick the can down the road another year. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're running out of road to kick the can down. It's time for us as Americans to have a real serious adult conversation about the big challenges that face our country. But none of this is going to happen if we don't fix the Congress itself. The place is broken. Now, I've watched both parties contribute to the problems we have in the Congress, where we've created all this scar tissue between the 2 political parties. It's time to open up the process. It's time to say no more 2,300-page health care bills or 2,300-page everything kind of bills. And there's no reason why we shouldn't allow the American people and the members to have 72 hours to read every bill. Because it's time for more transparency and more accountability in Washington, D.C. Hey, listen, I've probably talked longer than I should. Just know this.
That's okay.
No. I've been talking for 9 months. I'm out of gas. I'm worn out.
3 more days.
But I just want you to know this. Our job in Washington is to respect the Constitution and to respect the will of the American people. On Tuesday night, we're going to have a big win, but it's not a time to celebrate. When 1 out of 10 of our fellow citizens is out of work, when we've buried our kids and grandkids under a mountain of debt, it's time to roll up our sleeves and go to work. God bless all of you, and God bless